From Omaha, Nebraska to New York City. From planet Earth to extraterrestrial life in space. A podcast with no equal, engaged in unconventional warfare through your speakers and headphones. This is a show about embracing the suck, conquering your demons, and finding God in the face of adversity. Chris Tonto Peranto.
Twitch is on. Motherfucker, I'm going to shoot you in the face.
Ian Scotto.
You know, Ian and I have been dating for a long time.
You are now tuned into the Battleline Podcast.
The switch is on, Battleline Podcast. I may sound a little different because I am actually in studio with Elana Duffy because Elana lives in New York, and when I can actually do this, it's great. But Chris is in Kansas, so we're making this work.
Yeah, I'm still ways away from y'all. Yeah.
But as I was saying, thanks for actually coming in. Like, I get excited to actually come in and do this. I guess coming from like the old school radio where you could actually like make eye contact with someone and be in a room with someone, it's just nice. So.
Yeah, no, it is. Despite the fact that, as I was just saying, I put on a nice shirt for this and you don't use the video. And it's not very often these days that I have to either A, leave my apartment or put on a nice shirt. So I don't know how I feel about it yet.
We can still record the video. What the hell? We'll just throw it up there. Just spots. Just do 20-second clips.
Just do 20-second clips only because I put on a nice shirt.
Exactly. Hashtag nice shirt. Let's just hashtag nice shirt at 20 times, 20 clips. There we go.
If someone's recording the video, I don't even know. Is someone recording the video? We're recording. We didn't really. Yeah. All right, whatever. We'll be able to use it for something. Yeah. But anyway, I guess to give some background,
I also
of course.
have cats on my pants, so let's.
You have cats? Cats on your pants?
I do have cats on my pants. Hold on.
Well, Chris has to see this then. And you have the.
You won't even be.
You're just putting like the full-on prosthetic with the cat
really
pants with
on
the.
Yeah.
There we go.
No, I don't know if you can even see it.
Because it just looks like checkerboard if it's zoomed out.
It's like checkerboard until you get close, and then it's like little cat faces.
Oh yeah, I'm a cat person. I mean, I like dogs too, but I love my little kid. I had to kick her out of the room, so she'd be tearing stuff up in here during the interview.
How old is your cat?
She's like, I think we got her at 4 weeks. She's 6 weeks. She's just
God, it's a kitten.
Yeah, she's a little black and white kitten. She loves to. She fetches. She knows how to fetch.
Yes.
And she knows how to. She'll chase and at secret, sneak attack you. I'll be walking down the hall. And,
this is perfect.
Yeah, but I had to kick her out of here because she'd be tearing the place up while we'd be doing the interview.
Yeah, that's what mine are doing at home, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So to give some background on Elana, though, I met Elana actually through our friends on the Team House. We've had both Dave Park and Jack Murphy on the show before. Jack's been on multiple times. Mm-hmm. Elana and I were both on episode 100, which was great. And to give some background, of course, Sergeant First Class, Army Interrogator, and Counterintelligence Agent, combat vet, Purple Heart recipient from the TBI that you experienced, actually not from the prosthetic, which we could get into. Cornell University grad with a master's in engineering and now running Pathfinder Labs, which is a tech company geared towards veteran and community services. And also you had a piece in the New York Times last year about getting the prosthetic put on, getting the leg amputated. Before we even get into the intricacies of all that, it was funny that I was thinking about is when I met you a few months ago and you were showing the prosthetic and everything, I remember you saying, I want to turn the prosthetic into like a party prosthetic with LED lights and all this crazy shit. Yeah. What's the progress with that?
Some of the wiring is done, and then they actually gave me like a new inside, so it's a little bit more springy. So now I would have to rewire it. So, and I discovered at one point that I can't get the foot part off and back on very easily. I actually had to take it back to the VA and be like, I broke it, and have them put it back on for me. So it's at a bit of a stopping point right now. a backup foot that I can use. But no, there definitely the schematics are done. So this will happen.
Nice.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I want to see what it looks like when it has an end product.
When you get an engineer who has been working from home for the past year and a half, and I have a 3D printer, so like I can also make like other casings. It's bad. It's bad.
I mean, it's crazy what you could do with 3D printers, because I've seen articles, right, of people who actually did lose limbs and they're able to use their 3D printer to actually print out new things. Not what you have, but something that'll like be a makeshift resolution for the time being.
Yeah, and you can make like casings for it and stuff like that. So it's not medically sound or particularly safe, but I've done dumber. So that's good. That's how I lost it in the first place. I do dumb. So yeah.
I just want it to be awkwardly silent. That's at least my goal.
Yeah.
Since I'm away from y'all, so you guys have to just look at each other like awkwardly for 5 seconds, thinking I'm going to say something.
I just want to make sure. You know what it is? It's also because Chris isn't in the room, so I want to make sure that I'm not, making this whole interview me asking questions. So.
No, hey, dude, I'm good with that today. I talk way too much. You know that. I have to like cut myself down from talking. So I'm just going to be quiet and I'm just going to watch the show. In fact, I feel like I'm watching an interview right now. Not even a part of it. I'm just watching it from afar.
Well, I hear that radio silence is the key to good radio.
That's exactly. So,
So
let's be silent for 2 minutes. Just silent.
Yeah.
No. No.
The professional radio guy in the room is like, "Oh God, no, no," because he means it.
Well, I mean, with the professional radio background, it's like if it wasn't podcasts, you actually do have the FCC who could step in and do like you can't have 2 minutes of silence. I remember back in the day, actually, when I had to do.
Did they really get pissed off with you?
Oh yeah, I mean, you'll get fined. It's the same thing as like cursing on the air that you just have silence. I remember when it was just me in a radio studio back in the day when I was, learning all this in 2006, 2007 and doing music shows. And we actually had CDs. This is before everything was programmed. I would have to put on a song because I was doing a metal show. I'd have to put on a song by Dream Theater, one of those like epic 15-minute songs if I wanted to take a piss, because otherwise you don't want 2 minutes of silence.
Yeah. I did a radio show while I was in college. So this is, 2098 to 02 ish, but it was all like punk and ska. So there is like nothing longer than like 3 minutes.
Yep.
So if we didn't have someone else in there with it, we had like 5 DJs, and I swear to God, like half the time there was still only one person there. And you were like, well, it looks like I am 3 hours without going to pee or anything, because it's all CDs and like the 8-track ads and PSAs and stuff like that. It's pretty great.
I'm not surprised with the ska and punk background now, because I posted the New York Times piece that you wrote, and you were joking about how you had the checkerboard Vans that match the tattoo.
Yeah.
And I feel like the checkerboard tattoo is very ska, punk
thing.
rock.
Yeah. So, the two-tone thing. So, that was me. Instead of going to parties on Saturday nights, I ran a radio show. So super nerd.
I've been there.
Yeah, I was at the parties listening to the radio show.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm sorry, I had to be. Sometimes
somebody had to. I mean,
and then we would go to my buddy who had a buddy. We call him DJ Mike, great guy, Mike Morrell, and he ran a radio show on Saturday. So that's what at the college radio station. So we would get hammered, and then we would go crash the radio station at night and make the show just unbearable for him, because he was still trying to be professional, where you got 5 drunk guys just trying to get into the booth just to make his life a living hell while he's trying to finish up his show. And then you get off and we go drink some more.
Yeah.
And that's when he said, I remember I had a buddy that was a DJ. I remember those days where we would go out and he was stuck in the DJ booth or the radio booth, the college radio booth, from 8 till midnight here on Fridays and Saturdays. And
Ooh, he had Fridays and Saturdays. He got the really good shift.
He got the college radio back in the day. That was the cool radio back in the day. That was like where you didn't get the stuff that you got on public radio.
Yep.
That's I remember that. That was Anyway, I'm reminiscing.
No, I am too now, because now he's making up like drinking at the radio station, which was obviously a no-no. And I remember
it was,
of course, the guy who ran the metal show that I did. He came in during my slot and started drinking, and like an idiot, he threw out the beers in the studio. And I get a call the next morning from like a higher up at the station, program director or something. They're like, "Were you drinking during your time slot?" And I was like, "No, but I know who was." And they're like, "Who?" I'm not the type of person who's going to tell you. So it's just like, you know what? I'm going to give him a call, and I'm going to tell him to tell you, because, I'm not going to take the blame for that one, because I had nothing to do with it. Anyway, we should get into the actual gist of this interview. So I'd love to hear about like how you got into the whole idea of just joining the Army and everything that went from there.
Yeah.
Was the radio stuff a lot? I mean, seriously, I'm thinking about that now. The DJ stuff, the radio stuff, were you already thinking about going, or was that
no.
That was a whole different route, and then it kind of went immediate left at some point? Yeah, I'd like to hear about that too. Wow.
Yeah, no. It's funny actually, because my father had been my father was Vietnam era, but fiercely guarded the Potomac because he was Armed Forces Radio back then. So I still make fun of him for that. So and as he pointed out, but the VC never did cross the Potomac. So
they did their job.
Yes, they did. So they did a great job. But it really had no influence. I mean, my family, both of my grandfathers had been in World War II or World War II time frame, but neither one ever talked about it. I mean, one grandfather who actually joined the OSS before, so that was right around the end of World War II. One of my grandfathers was recruited into the OSS, and but he died when I was young, so it never came up. As a matter of fact, after I joined the Army in counterintelligence, and I had gone through already most of my training, I think my mom was like, "Oh, your grandfather did that." And I was like, "Oh, well, that would have been cool to know." Great. I was just a nice little Jewish girl from New Jersey who graduated, went to college, got a master's degree in engineering, got a job, quit my job because basically staring at blueprints all day was a far cry from being an astronaut, which I had wanted to be since I was like 6. So, and I was like, I can't even see a window, much less space. So I got to do something else. And originally I was going to join the reserves, and my boyfriend at the time, because it's always has to deal with it's always a boy or a girl. My boyfriend at the time was like, "Oh, I was thinking about going active duty." And I was like, "Well, you're not having all the fun. See you there." And called a recruiter and decided to go not only active duty, but in absolutely nothing related to what I had just
exactly. I was gonna say, you wanted to go to NASA, so you didn't try to go the pilot route at all, and you went to is it Army that you went into?
I went into the Army.
Wait a second. Wait. Yeah. Okay. So you wanted to be an astronaut.
Great decisions. Great decisions. And I didn't even go officer. I had a master's.
The only branch of service that does not have jets or anything related to rockets.
However, the Army does have an astronaut corps.
Do they really?
They do.
Like
the Army does have an astronaut corps.
Okay.
But No, typically most of them do come from like the Air Force and the Navy, but the Army does have an astronaut corps. We even have like a little ribbon that like, I don't know, like 2 people have, but we so I did want to be an astronaut, but the Army was the only one that would let you choose your job.
Sure, okay.
So I did not want to end up, shuffling papers around. I didn't want to end up, I am a lady. Well, sometimes. So I couldn't go into anything like super cool or tactical at the time. So
And what year was this?
This was in 2002.
Okay.
I graduated, I got my job, and I was like, oh my God, this is my life now. And I worked in that job, and then I left for basic training in early 2003. So I was not in that job terribly long. Love those guys. I mean, it was construction management. They were wonderful people from like construction management in northern New Jersey is like dealing with various mafias and
don't get dramatic now, all right?
Like how are we gonna coordinate because like the Polish roofers are having a fight with the like Italian masons, and so it was definitely a project management problem. But I went in and said, forget it, I'm just gonna go. I want to do something that is as tactical and hands-on as possible. The Air Force, you couldn't go directly in, and also my eyesight was atrocious. So I couldn't even try out for any of the pilot positions. Yeah. And actually, I ended up dropping after I got eye surgery, which was in the very brief time that we had between Afghanistan and Iraq. I got eye surgery and then did drop a pilot packet to switch over to the Air Force. And then but at the time, they were saying that the eye surgery was a permanent disqualifier.
Wow.
So
that was weird because they kept I thought
they
flipped back
did.
And forth for a little while. It's like, PRK is good, but LASIK disqualifies you. Then it flipped
Right.
the other way.
Yeah.
Then it was both. That was typical bureaucratic.
Yeah. It was,
medicine there.
whoever had the most stars and wanted something to change and get it on their little officer evaluation report.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
You got it.
So, and so I ended up getting permanently medically disqualified because the recruiter submitted the packet wrong. So
Holy crap.
awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, so I ended up with a career in intelligence collection and interrogations and investigations, and
that's still you gotta say it's still a really good job to get. Most people, and we'll get into that. I know because I know a lot of people that's hard to get into. There's not a lot of slots for intel, or you got to go CID, or the youngsters got to go to MPs and then try to work their way into it. But yeah, that's great that you got that. Still, it's a silver. Hey, that's a silver ribbon or silver medal right there. If it wasn't the pilot one that you wanted, it can be definitely.
Yeah. And now I can get any of the billionaires to send me into space anyway. So
yes, yesterday we saw William Shatner.
Yes.
Very exciting.
Yes.
Do you still nerd out about that as someone who wanted to be an astronaut?
I nerd out about everything Star Trek and
Yes!
everything.
Yes! Star Trek, not Star Wars. Star Trek. That's right.
I am a Trekkie and I am a space nerd. So, I think this morning I read some really long article on how the Big Bang may not have actually been from a singularity, and I read the whole thing at 6:00 this morning because I was like, this is fascinating, and I can't sleep anyway, so I may as well just read this. But no, I definitely. I mean, 11 minutes in space, but bless him, he was like crying in the interview afterwards. He was so emotional.
And he's what, like 90? And he looks great. It's crazy. But yeah, so what about being an interrogator, counterintelligence? What appealed to you with that then?
Problem solving and puzzle solving. And I am fascinated by why people do the things that they do, because everything is a choice. And so why do you choose to blow someone up? There is a logical reason to do that. There's a way that you got there somehow. So and that concept fascinates me. So it's a lot of study in psychology and a lot of study in motivation, and especially when you are talking to someone as like an interrogator, you need to be able to make them trust you, because you really do get more flies with honey, at least over the long term. So it's, if you can make them think that you are on their side and your friend, and like you guys are buddies and you could play like checkers together, because it's really hard to teach chess, then you can get so much more out of them, because they may not tell you like, well, these are the things that I did, but I can tell you what my cousin did, or what they're planning to do. Because as long as you've catered to their motivations and figure that out, it's so fascinating to see where that can go. And I mean, I've sat across the table and talked to people who the day before were trying to blow me up, and sometimes successfully, sometimes not, and had to be buddy with them and be like, so why'd you put the bomb in the ground that, blew my brain out? Like, what? And so it's just a really interesting process. How I picked that job was way less interesting. It was basically the only thing that would put me on the ground and working as tactically as possible. I need to see a tangible benefit from the things that I do. I want to see the results.
Yeah.
And that was a big part of it, is if I could get a single piece of information, I knew that we could go and dig up that bomb before it went off or something. And then someone else would go home that night who may not have otherwise gone home. So
yes, yeah. Getting that actionable intelligence is always, I know, is always, from you guys, is always, you see the result. The results, it's always more, what's the word I'm looking for? Makes me happy. Help me out, masters. Help me out, masters.
Whoa.
There's my
Engineering.
Wait, you're right. Not English. I'm sorry.
I need numbers.
But hey, and I agree with you. The using pain and it is for the person to feel like you're getting even. Yeah, I see it, but people will say whatever they can to get out of that pain.
Right.
And yeah, I agree. But for the person giving it, especially if you've got a bone to pick, and that's saying it easy. It feels better to hurt someone to get but even though you may not be getting the intelligence, so being nice and hey, it's a bit manipulative. You got to be manipulative a bit. When I'm saying a bit, you have to be very manipulative. But I agree. I agree. In the long run, you do get better intel, and you get continual intel. And during that time, you guys are professionally trained at that. Over that time frame, I think that's not my realm, but you'll see if somebody's lying to you eventually or not. But I'm going back to basic training on that. How, before we even get to that point, what was that like, and where did you go to, and then did it prepare you at all? Your basic, and then now were they doing AIT at that time, or was it still? Or everybody wanted to do the infantry OSET?
No, we did. So for Intel, So I was one of the, well, I wasn't the last class to go through where you could actually enlist as, well,
Okay.
first of all, so I enlisted as opposed to going officer, and that was because officers also couldn't pick their jobs. So,
Gotcha.
and
Okay.
I didn't want to end up like chemical, biological, whatever, because weirdly, like everyone was going into MBC, the nuclear, biological, chemical, and I did not want that. Also, I didn't want to move papers from one side of a desk to another, which
Sure.
is most of what even an intel officer does. So,
Well, and you also learn how to follow. If you
Yeah.
want to be a good leader, you learn how to follow. Even if you have shitty leaders, you learn.
Yes.
You learn the best from shitty. In my opinion, you do. You learn the best from crappy leaders, and like, okay, I probably don't want to go that route.
Yeah.
But you still have to learn how to follow
Yeah.
before you can be a good leader.
Yeah.
So, no, you did it the right way.
Yeah.
I think you did.
oh yeah, yeah. One of my crappiest leaders gave me that advice at one point. They were like, never do watch the people who do things that you don't like to do above you, and never do that, and then watch the things that people do that you appreciate, and remember to do that when you become a leader. And I was like, that's great. I'm never going to do most of the things that you do except repeat that sentence. Yeah, that's and then there's all the manipulate, but between that leader and the manipulation, like my therapist is super busy, so they get benefit out of it too. But basic training, so I went to basic at Fort Jackson in South
Okay.
Carolina.
Mhm.
Old relaxing Jackson. It was lovely in the fact that we had fewer red ants than places like Benning, and so it was like less sandy, more raining kind of all the time. I went in like spring, like
Okay.
late spring, so it was just always wet and like mildly cold, and then super hot, and then mildly cold again. So, everyone got pneumonia at one point, and that was always a fascinating experience because they had quarters there which were delightful.
So that's what you at that time they'd moved from the open bay. I remember.
Oh
that.
no, there
Didn't
was
they
open
say-
bay.
They were still open. Okay, they're still
Yeah.
open bays. Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody gets. Yeah, that's the best herd immunity you can have right
Yeah.
there. Everybody
Yeah.
gets sick.
Yeah,
Fuck it,
they're
everybody
like, you
gets
know
sick.
what, you got it. Everyone else has it.
Everybody's going to get it.
I
now,
was
yeah.
patient zero for one of the things like this, because they gave us like every fifth person ended up with like this pseudo pneumonia vaccine that they were testing because, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I'm like, go get vaccinated. Like, I don't care. Sure, shoot me up with whatever. I don't care if it's been tested. I've already done this.
You already got the test,
Yeah. Good luck getting through most of the things that are already swimming around in here. So I went. So I got this pneumonia vaccine. And I got sick, and this is a couple weeks in. It's probably 4 or 5 weeks into basic, and because it's open bay, once your temperature gets above a certain point. Because I went to the drill sergeant and I was like, I don't feel great. And he was like, oh, your temperature is like 102. You should probably go somewhere. And they move you into, they give you like, you take your laundry bag with like we had the gray army sweats, and you go to this like hospital-ish building. And so everyone in there is sick, and you're still in base, but it's only like 8 people as opposed to like 40. And so it was amazing because everyone is in the gray army sweats. All the walls are white. All the linens are white. And everyone has like the blue paper face masks that you have to wear in the hallways. So it was like this ghostly blank.
It's like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, it was
Jack Nicholson.
insane.
I remember those things
Yeah.
are so like,
Oh.
how am I just feel odd in here. This isn't helping my morale
Yeah.
at all.
Like, yeah, I guess it's so that you want to get better and go
What-
back
yeah,
to
you want-
basic. So you want to go back to like running around in the mud because you're like, this is a terrifying experience.
You're right. Are they going to put me in a straitjacket next? Because
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just here. I got a cold. I'm not mentally.
Yeah, yeah, they're taking away my
unstable
shoelaces.
right
I don't know
now.
what's happening. So, so I went to Fort Jackson. That was when I was still new to the military. I definitely I knew to keep my mouth shut. Also, I had seen enough movies. It boggled my mind the people who seemed surprised by the fact that they were getting yelled at basic training. And I was like, did you never watch
Did you never see Full Metal Jacket at least one time?
Anything. Did you see Stripes? I mean,
Stripes,
come on.
exactly. Sergeant Hulka, don't you know that? Do you not know Sergeant Hulka?
Come on.
Come on.
Like, what?
So you better hit them monks, my little babies. Or Sergeant Hulka with the big toe is going to see how far he can stick it up your ass.
They yell at you. You're welcome to basic training. The first day you have to go in and you're coming off of this bus from what they call reception. So you go you go through this little reception thing, and they teach you the basics of marching, and they give you your basic equipment and stuff like that, and your uniforms and stuff. And then you get on another bus and you go to your actual little company where you're going to be in basic for the next 9 weeks. And the first thing you do is you're running off the bus. You've got all your bags, and since you may or may not be running video, and it doesn't matter because I'm not standing up anyway, I'm only 5'4", and at this point I was probably 110 pounds, and I've got a green duffel on my front, a green duffel on my back, and then you still have to carry another bag with you because it's got anything that you had brought with you, your civilian clothes and stuff. And I have these giant glasses, these we call them BCGs, birth control goggles.
I've heard Chris refer to that. Yeah.
They were friggin' perfect.
And they got mine. Yep.
Oh, they were amazing. I wish I still had mine.
Dude, and they're in fad now. You see people wearing that shit all the time now.
Yeah.
Even with the iggly brown color.
Yeah. Oh, they were so awful. God, but they were indestructible.
Yeah.
And so I've got these giant things on. I had been an absolute idiot and cut my hair short because women have to either have your hair above the collar or you have to pull it back. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't want to deal with it for 9 weeks. I'll just cut it like a really short bob. And, well, let me tell you, most of my basic training ended up with, get that mop out your face, private. Because it was just everywhere. And and then what you have to do is you have to line, they have these arbitrary tasks that you have to do when you first, you're running off the bus, loaded down with all these bags, and they want you to line up your bags on these white lines that they have put on the grass. And if they're not all perfectly even in line, then you have to do X number of push-ups and then get up and run a lap around all of the bags for 100-something people or whatever it was. And it's an arbitrary task. There's no way to get it right. They're just doing it. And I remember thinking after round 2 of push-ups and running circles, they have to stop before they kill someone. So how bad could it be? They can't kill anyone. They'd get in trouble. So it's got to stop sometime. And that was pretty much how I made it through basic was they don't actually want to kill you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They do. They do. I was always one of those assholes though that just kept PTing. So I was like, fuck it. I don't care if y'all are. I just, here, I'm not going to be a team player today. I'm going to let you guys all suck. I don't care. I'll keep doing push-ups and sit and
I hated
just
you.
Going down. Stop going. I eat shit, guys. I'm going to run fast on this other way. But eventually I stopped doing it. But there were days where I was just like, I'm done. I don't care about, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the ass today, guys. Sorry.
Yeah. Well,
But-
especially if there was one person who was just getting on your nerves and you were like, no, I'm going to make you suffer. Like,
You're going to suffer today. I can do 100 push-ups. I don't care how many you can do. So
yeah. Yep.
But I do, you know, and that's, but they're teaching, to me, they were teaching, hey, even in the best case scenario, you're not always going to be successful. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
You're going to cry about it. You're just going to suck it up and just keep, and that's what we get, say, embracing the suck. Are you going to embrace the shit? And because it's going to end. It will end.
Yeah.
It'll end eventually. But are you going to keep doing it till we say it's going to end? And yeah, it's the mindset a lot of people, even myself, had to get through stuff. Is just, it's going to end.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Keep going. It'll end eventually. And
Yeah.
if somebody dies, well, it's not going to be me. But it's going to be it. It's just good. But
It's going to be the guy that I wanted to, because I know how many push-ups you can do and I know I can do more. So, yeah. Because that's the other benefit of being like 110 pounds. I can do more push-ups than like the dude who's coming in there who's not in great shape anyway.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's got to push more weight. So...
For sure.
And by the time you got used to those boots, you can run too. Lighter people, you can go. You're like, I can go forever. I'm 110 pounds. I get you. That's what, it was wonderful being 170 pounds and not that huge, because I could just keep running. Keep running. Just keep, what's that, Dory? Oh, that's just keep swimming. Sorry. I watched my bad, Finding Nemo last night. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
I love that movie. I love that movie, especially because like now with only one leg, like when if I swim and I'm kicking with one side and I was like, why am I going in circles? That's cool.
Got the fin.
Yeah.
We got the Nemo fin.
All right. Hope you guys are enjoying this episode thus far. We are just getting started. There's a whole lot more to get into with this episode. As you can tell, I mean, we're just into basic training. We haven't gotten into a lot of other stuff with Elana. And if you looked at the description, she is a combat veteran of both Iraq and Afghanistan and a Purple Heart recipient. So trust me, there's a whole lot more to go. So keep this episode going. But people always hit me up, actually, between the email and inbox of our different social media sites. And oftentimes they're like, how could I support the show? Do you guys have Patreon, that type of thing? And really, it's our sponsors that keep us going. So if you want to support us in any way and you're in the market for ammo, just one of our great sponsors is Fort Scott Munitions. And there really is no more loyal sponsor to this show than Fort Scott Munitions. They have been on board with us since the very beginning, and they are the #1 company out there for ammo. So if you're in the market for ammo, which many of you guys are, you got to check out Fort Scott Munitions, and in the process, you are helping out our show. Fort Scott Munitions is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition. It's designed to tumble upon impact. TUI, tumble upon impact, is their trademark, and it tumbles upon impact in soft tissue. If you go to their YouTube page, or if you go to their, or just even look up Fort Scott Munitions on YouTube, you're going to see what makes their ammo really top notch, what it does, and what they've done to really revolutionize ammunition. So they leave devastating wound channels that tumble upon impact for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike. And you do see a lot of hunters using Fort Scott Munitions right on their Instagram if you give them a follow. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results with each pull of the trigger. Fort Scott Munitions is available throughout privately owned businesses in every state. Just click on the dealer locator on their website. You're going to find a dealer right by you. For example, for me, South Shore Sportsman in Merrick does carry Fort Scott Munitions. Although they're, for the most part, sold out of ammo on the website, if you sign up for their mailing list, or even if you check our Instagram, I'll occasionally post that they'll have something available in bulk, like just recently they did. And if you used our promo code, you would get $100 off. I mean, that's a great discount. So beyond that, though, they do have great merch, which you could use our discount code on. So just go to the website and check out what's in stock. And that's fortscottmunitions.com, SCOTTMUNITIONS.com, and use the exclusive promo code Battleline for 15% off your order. Only available to listeners of the Battleline Podcast. Link is in the description. Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Chris Peranto, Battleline Tactical, and the Battleline Podcast. FortScottMunitions.com, but make sure you use the promo code Battleline. And great sponsor as well, Bubs Naturals. If you heard our interview with Sean Lake on the show, you learned a lot about the mission behind the company, the inspiration behind the company, and that is none other than Sean's best friend, fallen Navy SEAL Glenn Bub Doherty. And they put their money where their mouth is, because 10% of the proceeds on all products go to the Glenn Doherty Memorial Foundation, which benefits veteran families, special operations veterans families, kids of special operations veterans who need scholarships or in need for other assistance. So they're carrying on that legacy of the great Navy SEAL Glenn Bub Doherty, who I had the privilege of meeting very briefly, but nonetheless, I did get to meet Glenn Doherty, and I'm very thankful for it. Not too long before he passed away, unfortunately. Now, as for what they do, you've heard me talk about the collagen protein and the benefits of collagen protein. If you're taking a whey protein isolate, or these vegan proteins like pea protein, you're not getting the same benefits that you are getting with collagen, because collagen are those building blocks in our system for hair, skin, nails, elasticity of the skin. So check them out, and the MCT oil powder as well, of course, the apple cider vinegar gummies. But you know what? I'll be honest with you guys. I've tried every product up until recently other than the Fountain of Youth formula. Now, I was hiking in the Adirondacks, and my friend George Earhart, who is now a listener of the show and now a believer in Bubs Naturals, who ordered some stuff after listening to the Sean Lake episode, he does not go anywhere, I've learned, without the Fountain of Youth formula, because when we were in our Airbnb in the Adirondacks, he didn't pack much with him, but he did pack the Fountain of Youth formula, and he had me and our other friend have it for our breakfast, along with, you know, what else we were eating. And I love that product now too, because unlike just drinking juice, for example, you're not only getting your daily vitamin C right there, you're also getting the benefits of that collagen protein. And it's got a great taste, that great berry taste, and it's all natural. It's not like these other supplements on the market that are loaded with sugars and all sorts of crap. So check them out, guys. We love what they do. BubsNaturals.com. BubsNaturals.com. Promo code Battleline, and you'll get 20% off. And as you often hear me say, you do see their stuff on the shelves of Vitamin Shop and other places, but you're going to get a discount through us, and you're going to get a better deal through us. So the best way to do it is BubsNaturals.com, promo code Battleline, and you'll be supporting the show in the process. With that, we're going to get back to this great interview that we did. I was in studio, as you know, with Elana Duffy. It would be great to have Chris in studio, maybe when we're in Vegas for SHOT Show, but I'm going to shut my big fat mouth and we're going to get back to it. I want to get into, I mean, after basic training, you were saying like timeline 2003, 2004. This is in the thick of everything. Were you prepared for what was to come, going into combat and all that?
No. Oh, no.
What did they tell you guys when you went over? Because you're in the intel unit, but you know, you're going there early. Like everybody else, you're getting thrown into jobs that you're not supposed to be doing.
Right.
You know, you're doing intel, but you're also probably are doing some infantry stuff, some MP stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But did they tell you that at all, or they just said, "Hey, go over there. We'll tell you what you're going to do once you get there"?
Well, what was particularly fun is in AIT, so Advanced Individual Training.
Sure.
I tend to, by the way, break down most of the acronyms. I know that most of your listeners are probably
dude,
It's about half and half of military and idiots like me. So, you know.
Military and idiots like me.
I appreciate you breaking them down, because I wouldn't know.
Caption that we can put up there, like idiot like me.
Yeah.
Or now you're a PSA. So at AIT, where all of so it's all counterintelligence, and then we have our sister platoon of all interrogators. And then we do joint training towards the end. So actually, I ended up cross-trained in in
Good.
both.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was, and what was fun is that the interrogators, though, they didn't get the badge and credentials that we got, so we could still rub that in their face. But,
Sucks to be
yeah,
them.
sucks to be you. I get to carry this badge. Oh man, my badge, which I ended up getting it retired around the time that I did, and my picture, because I'm like this 22-year-old, like super, like, and I'm in Arizona, so I'm like I'm super tan. My hair, which is now about shoulder length, finally, and still a mop that gets in my face, but I had dyed it, and it was supposed to be like a light, like reddish tint. Well, it was like dark, fake ass red, and my friend and I had decided to do this like the day before our badge and credential photos were taken, and so I had this blouse, because you wear civilian clothes for your B's and C's, your badge and credential photo. So I'm wearing like this purple colored blouse, which really accentuates the fact that I am like super tan and have now like this red, unnaturally red hair. And they were like, well, this is your photo. So I had to carry that around for like 10 years. That was my badge and credentials photo. It was kind of amazing because I was like, here's me at 22 and I look super professional, don't I?
You know, in the early 2000s, though, Carrot Top was huge. So
it is true.
I mean,
yeah, but it was.
You're okay.
Oh God, it was amazing. And like I hadn't bleached it first, so my brown hair, it was just like this dark red. Oh, it was goddamn priceless. It was priceless. So, and now I have that mounted on my wall, and I'm like, check that out. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
So, but AIT, but it was so early, because this is now like early 2003, like mid 2003, and they're still teaching Russia KGB scenarios.
Wow.
We haven't really gotten to, we're still learning Cold War, because that's more of where the instructors had come from. Sure. So sure, we're doing some stuff of like looking for bombs, but we're still doing like KGB dead drop type stuff.
Sure. Okay.
And so no, we had no idea what to expect. And then I'd show up at Fort Bragg because I had married the dude who ended up who was like, oh, I'm gonna go active duty. So and because I make great decisions, we got married like while I'm in AIT, and right after he graduated from he was airborne infantry, and so he went to jump school and then was like, I have like 3 weeks off. My drill sergeant said that if we don't get married, I'll never see you again. So I guess we should do this. And yeah, that was my proposal. God, he was such a romantic. And so
that is heavenly. I mean, I saw little Tweety birds. And
like with little hearts. Yeah,
yes,
yeah. The stars in my eyes are still there. Yeah,
nobody thought this was a love podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. So he flew out to Arizona because I wasn't allowed to leave the state because it's very much like prison, and or like parole. So
AIT's parole. There you go.
AIT's more like, okay, you're on parole, like here's your ankle monitor, don't go further than like Tucson. So he flew out and we got married. So I ended up at Fort Bragg because he's airborne infantry. He was in the 82nd Airborne Blue Devils, 2nd 2504 Infantry. And
there's the damn division. I got no idea what all their names are.
I really don't either. And then they reclassified, and I got completely lost. Yeah. But we, so I show up at Fort Bragg, and I think it was like December of 2003 or something, I reported to my unit. I was in it was the 18th Airborne Corps' primary military, 18th Airborne Corps, like their intelligence.
And that's awesome. I mean, that you're going to, for those that don't know, you're going to really a legendary unit. The 18th Airborne Corps has been, I mean, for forever. Granted, I don't know about your specific unit, but just in name, to be attached and to say, hey, yeah, I served with the 18th Airborne Corps. I mean, I still get kind of, touches me when I hear guys from the 18th Airborne, because it is. They've been around forever and they've done such amazing things. So So did you feel that way? You're like, oh my gosh, I'm going. It's just like when I got to go to the Rangers. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like going to 18th Airborne Corps. It's like, I know the Rangers are going to be pissed off at me for saying that. It's not the same, guys. It's not the same. But what I'm saying, just in name value, just in name, like, oh my gosh,
here
this
comes
name has
all the hate mail.
All the hate mail. No, Rangers aren't like the 18. No, the lineage. Yeah. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Did you feel that way, or did you not really know?
There is a history there. I mean, like it's not as recognizable as something like the 82nd because it's core. It's a huge. I mean, like it encompasses the 101st Airborne, the 82nd Airborne, 10th Mountain Division. So like it's huge, and we were core MI. So we could get attached to most of those units or deploy by ourselves. So we went, and I show up to the unit in December, and they were like, "Oh, hey, cool, because we're your company." Because we actually went as a company-sized element, which is very small for an MI unit.
Yeah.
MI units are like, MI companies are like 60 people, ish.
Wow.
And we would. And they were like, "Oh, hey, we're leaving in like February, so like at the latest."
And you're like, "Where? Where we're going to Florida?
Wait, where are we going, guys?"
And that's meaning February of 2004, right? So,
yeah. They were like, "Oh no, yeah, you're going to Afghanistan. Bravo Company's going to Afghanistan. Welcome to Bravo Company. Don't unpack. And cool, we'll see you there." So. You got like some training, and of course, since I showed up in early December, everybody else went on leave for like all of December. So all of the NCOs and everybody who'd been there before were all on leave, and so you really didn't have a whole lot of. This is what to expect. And then in February, it was, okay, cool, get on the plane. And we took military aircraft the whole way. So it was awesome. We could lay out we had these foam PT mats and we would lay them out.
Oh, yeah, the push pads. The pads, man. You got to put the push pads down.
They were so good.
I said that to Eric Prince once. He had a push pad in his house. I was protecting him. And he's like, "What did you call this?" I said, "Push pad? Do they not call it push pads in the Navy? What do they call it? This is an insulin pad."
I'm sorry, what?
And I took a step, like, Eric's a weird.
Well,
I don't get it. That's a whole nother episode. Anyway, but it was funny. The look on his face is like, it was like, did you just call me a pussy? Because no, it's what we called them. I'm sorry to see. But anyway, guys, I went off on a tangent.
I get it.
I
get it. And my answer would have been like, well, I mean, you said it. Not
but on the floor of a C-17 or a C-1, they are awesome.
It is so good.
Awesome.
Like you put that thing on you put that on the floor of this C-17. You put it between the little tracks. Yes. So there's tracks on the floor of a C-17 because it's where they have rollers so that they can roll on like all the equipment or the pallets or the trucks or the whatever. Apparently sometimes seats, but we didn't see those.
No seats. There are no seats. No seats.
So and then like you have the I don't know the
The-
name
they're-
for it. Like the seats that
the
flip
net,
down.
the net chairs, the
Yeah.
little flip down seats, little net mesh flip
Yeah.
down seats with the
Yeah. Mesh is probably the word I was looking for.
They're like, remember, they're like the old school chairs you put out on your lawn back when I was
Yes.
growing up, like my parents had in the 70s that they would drink their beers in, that had the little nylon strips
Yeah.
that, you know,
Yeah.
half your ass cheek would
Yeah,
be
would go
part
through
of it.
like one of the holes.
So
Yeah.
when you got up, your ass looked like a checkerboard.
Yeah.
There you go. That's
Oh,
it
yeah.
right there.
Yeah. So those were not comfortable to sit in for like 9 hours. And that was just like Fort Bragg to Germany. And then,
Yep.
and then we ended up, and so you would just lay out your PT mat and, or your puss pad and take your whoopee or your, like they were
wonderful.
called a poncho liner, but like,
They're
I
really-
don't know how. Like there was no hole in the middle, so like how did it line a poncho? But anyway, they're blankets. They're blankets, and they're super comfortable. And I still have mine. And when people
Still-
stay over at my house and they're gonna sleep on my couch, I'm like, here's your blanket.
And it keeps you, and there's still, tell me out, engineer, how do they keep you so warm even when it's -0? And it's just that little thing. It's magic. I think it's got to be some magic in
It
the
is
fibers.
infused with fairy dust because it is the best thing on the planet.
It is. All right. So you get to Afghanistan. Did you?
Yeah.
You were over there? You're flying probably Bagram.
We ended up. So we get to Germany. We get delayed in Germany because it's winter, so there's a blizzard. And then we end up over in. And then we flew directly from Germany down into Bagram.
Okay.
And Bagram Air Base, when the tailgate flips down, it looks out to like the kind of the Hindu Kush, but kind of like almost like foothills of the Hindu Kush. You can't see the whole range because there's way too much dust and fecal matter in the air to see to see much. But and we actually landed during the day, which was not that common. Most of the time they were night landings, but I think that when we had left Germany, it was basically like break in the weather, everybody get on the plane. So so you're getting off, and that's the only time in my entire Army career where I was like, this is like a movie. Like this is like what they do in like the drama movies of like this is you like getting off the plane and like you got all your equipment on and everybody's in desert camo and there's these low buildings, you see the mountains and
it's like the Army commercial or something.
Yeah. Oh, it was, and I was like, this is all you can be. This is the be all you can be thing. It's Army of One crap.
I don't. We'll do another episode on that one too. That's too long to get into. But you're right. That it is gorgeous. I've done that a few times myself, and it is beautiful when the ramp drops and you can actually see the foothills, and even if you can see a little bit. It is. It's just. It's breathtaking. Afghanistan is breathtaking.
Yeah. It's a beautiful, beautiful country.
It is. It is just so bad that nobody will ever fucking see. Nobody will ever see it again. But you're right at the time.
Yeah.
So when you got off, did you go right to your unit, and then how much like what?
So half of our company stayed to run the interrogation facility, and then the other half of us were parsed out into small teams and distributed around the country. So we were a team of 4, and we were out way out west in Herat, and so we had this little base in the center city of Herat, and then we were responsible for 4 provinces and pieces of another. So we were responsible for Gore province, which nobody knows because it's like this. It's all mountains, and Badghis province, which is the northwest corner, Herat province, and then Farah province, and little pieces of like Helmand and stuff like that. But we had a lot of ground to cover, and it was basically us, a special forces team, civil affairs team, and then about 80, like half a company of field artillery guys for security. And so we were on the I call it a road, but it really was just like dirt. We were on the dirt quite a bit, trying to get around. It took like a day to get air support. Like we could not get, we didn't get mail for like 2 months. So thank you, Air Force. But they were like, I don't know, man, there's weather in the mountains. We were like, good weather? Bad weather?
There's weather. We'll just keep it vague.
Yeah, yeah. The game is on, I'm guessing. Yeah.
AFN, we have AFN now. What the hell? We're not flying. I don't, that's, but it is beautiful in that we were in that city in I remember that, and we worked in Farah. We got to fly to a lot of places though. So I can't. Honestly, we'd fly and then drive with the SIF team or whoever else was out there. But if you had to drive that all the time, man, that's a pain in the. I mean,
yeah,
that's
it would take like 6 hours to go to get anywhere. Yeah. And you're driving on these narrow, because it's more flat, but it's mostly like canyons and
you're going through wadis and all that kind of crap. Now so that was you got there roughly in the summer.
It was winter of 2004.
It was winter. I'm sorry.
Yeah, winter of 2004, and so it was before. So the elections wouldn't be until like October. So we were doing a lot of like election site security and stuff like that, like trying to figure out like, hey, can we set up an election site here, or is that going to get blown up?
So it's interesting. It's around the same time as the presidential election in the U.S.
Yeah.
Which was the John Kerry, George Bush election. That's the first election I ever voted in, so I remember.
Yeah.
So, how when you're there and you're doing your stuff and moving around, were you being time and place predictable? Is that, again, what do you think? And I know I'm jumping to it.
Yeah.
But when you were hit, were you thinking, because of security, especially if you're in security or you're in intel, which is security as well, you're trying not to violate these markers that can make you a target. But in Afghanistan, there are only so many routes you can drive.
Yeah, I mean, there was one road, one road. There was one way to get to like Kalinau, which is the capital of Badghis, from Herat. There is one way to get there. And it's like pretty much a 1-lane road the whole way, which is always fun if you're on the side of you're basically on a cliffside, and there's like a giant jingle truck, like a huge, like this big old truck coming at you, and you're like, well, this is a fun game of chicken. I don't know what we're gonna do next. P.S. I learned how to drive manual nice. on these, actually on a minefield, because it had been sort of demined. Like they put out markers of like, you know, the white rocks mean that it's safe, and the red rocks mean it's not. Do not cross that red rocks line. And my team leader was like, you're going to learn how to drive manual today. Let's go over to the range. And I was like, wait, the range is a minefield. So like you were going, like I would be trying to like start and like go slowly up a hill. And I was like, do not stall, because if we roll backwards, we're going into the red rocks. Like, this is not good. So Afghanistan was really tricky. I didn't get blown up until Iraq, but like, but Afghanistan, like it was a constant thought of like, if someone wanted to, it would not be hard to hit us, to hit kind of anybody. I mean, our team, our teams were actually really, really lucky, but there was like a team down in Kalat and like Ghazni and Gardez. And again, they just don't have a lot of roads. So if they had to go anywhere, it was rough. They did have more, they had more support in terms of being able to like send out a route clearing team from the infantry or the engineers or something, but which we didn't have. Like, we didn't have anybody clearing the routes ahead of us. But so it was a fascinating adventure which violated pretty much every rule, except, oddly enough, not any of the rules that were violated in watching The Hurt Locker. So, which was basically just fan fiction. But why are you guys only going out in one truck? Like, what are you doing? Why does her hair look like that? Why are you wearing a beret? I don't know.
I got you. Yeah.
But,
that's a whole. Well, let's do another episode on movie reviews.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be a great like in studio one, like you, Jack Murphy. That would be fun.
The Hurt Locker. It got the guy. It got the inside. I could get the insides, how he was feeling when he went home at that time. But as far as the tactical stuff,
yeah,
man, that's some hell engineers fucking sniping and clearing rooms.
Yeah, man, they were amazing.
Wow.
I was like, I want to work with you guys.
I know what
Yeah.
is that? The Sapper Tab team? Wow, that's fucking awesome.
Everybody went to Sapper School. That's great. That's great.
And that's why 13 hours you don't have these issues.
Oh yeah,
Because of him.
We cut quite a few things. It's just the explosions still get me, but it made sense when I told him, when I said the explosions and the vapor trails. I said they don't do, and he made a lot of sense. And Mike always said, he goes, Chris, if they did that, or he actually didn't even know he just knew Tano. He didn't even know my first name. He said, Tano, if we did it that way, people would walk out of the studio with Tourette's. They would not have a clue what's going on. He goes, that's why all the movies do it that way. And I thought back, I'm like, he's right. Black Hawk Down, Lone Survivor.
Yeah.
It's always vapor trails and explosions and not implosions. And okay, you got it.
Yep.
I got it. Tracking. But anyway,
Yeah.
we'll do another episode with that.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah, no, I actually, because it was so early that we didn't you don't have phone cameras, you don't have any of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I had like a little,
I think we had, but they were crappy. This right, or you wouldn't have them on you.
this was 04. So
no,
like
we still had flip phones or the little Nokia phones that you could play Tetris.
Yes.
The black.
Okay,
and white
because
Nokia.
I'm remembering when I went to college once again, 2006, there were videos that came out, and Chris and I have talked about it, like the videos that came out from the military around that time, the ones that went early viral, were always like the negative stuff, and that's just how the internet is. It's like, remember the kid throwing the dog off the cliff and all that shit, which I'm sure is very rare, but it's the stuff that the media grabs onto.
Yeah.
So. But anyway, I mean, I'm on another tangent here. But
help me out with that though, because at the beginning, that's when the terrorists were already beyond us on propaganda and using social media. They had their own website. I forget what they were called. You could search every car bomb that they did or beheading, or they were recording all that. The truck bomb that hit the hotel that we responded to. I mean, it was in the middle of Baghdad. It was in 2004, actually. Yeah. I forget the hotel. It was a dump truck bomb, and I actually posted pictures of that a while ago. Yeah, I got some pictures on our little on my face.
My face, which is what I also call it. Face.
Were you guys having to? Was that part? Did it delve into that? Were you guys watching? Because to me, that's intel. Were you guys watching that? Were you guys doing anything
that would have been more like the OSINT stuff, the open source intel folks that would watch that. But we would kind of, we were so remote that, I mean, it was really tough for us to, we didn't have regular internet. We didn't have regular anything. We had we could call back on the sat phone, or and we had to send our reports. Like, we would have to write them up and then bring them over to the main operations center and send them via secure radio. So it was we were very much behind the times, and I had all I had was like this little digital, because at least I had a digital camera, but which some people did not, because we're also I don't know, we're old people, so
The little card, the little Nokia camera with the little card, the little SD card. And,
oh yeah, and it would only take it was like 256 megapixels, and you're like, whoa, I can take all the things.
It's crazy how quickly it's all changed.
Yeah.
I all of us kind of feel old because we grew up in a totally different time.
Yeah. Oh man, I remember actually. Speaking of EOD came out, like they would only the explosive ordnance guys would come out like once every like 6 months, and they would just amass all of the stuff that we had found, and so they would mass it all out actually on the same range area that we would go and shoot at, and I learned to drive on. Maybe they also cleared some mines while they were out there, but they would pile up this huge pile of all these munitions that had gotten dug up, and we were probably like half a click. We were in like a little tower so it was about half a kilometer away, and I go to take a picture of it, and the blast wave that hit us closed my stupid little camera because the lens comes out on those, for those who remember those types of cameras.
I remember. I'm old.
Yeah.
I remember. That's
you
all
like
we had
open
too.
you like slide open the thing and it zooms out, and you're like, oh, this is the coolest thing on the planet. And,
I remember. Yep.
Oh, I love that thing. It never took pictures after the same. It closed it. It hit it so hard that it impacted the camera, and it closed it, and it never worked the same after that. And I remember thinking at that point, like, these can't be good for you. Like, these blast waves cannot be good for you. Because if it hit hard enough that it closed my camera and it made all of us like step back, like, this can't be healthy.
So this is because I know that you said Iraq was your big accident. This is still
Afghanistan, and we just had no idea.
But the incident that left, because I want to make sure we get into your leg and everything.
And
but
I will run on forever. So
it's all right. But the incident that left your leg basically dead weight, because we could talk about that, where it wasn't amputated anywhere near immediately. We were amputated years later. That's the same incident as the TBI?
No.
Okay, so let's get into both. Then.
All right. So I leave Afghanistan.
Did you do a year, or were they still doing 12-month tours or 6-month tours?
It was 6 months. So we were rotating in and out at 6 months because we were offset from the main folks. So we actually saw the transfer from 10th Mountain was running the country at the time, and then 25th ID took over. Okay. And so we did 6 months, and then we were replaced by another intel unit that did another 6 months, because it was when we landed back at Fort Bragg, at this time it was night. Our battalion commander, because we had only gone as a small company, comes out and he was like, "Hey guys, great job! You guys have already been put in like presidential commendation." Blah 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 blah. P.S. The entire brigade is leaving for Iraq in like 3 months. So we'll try to hang on to you for like an extra couple weeks, but we'll see you there. So we were home for like 4.5 months, and then packed our bags to leave for a year in Iraq. I started out in Baghdad, and we were actually there. So we were there in 2005. Okay. We were there. I was there pretty much all of 2005. And so that was the first Iraqi elections, and being in Baghdad for that was a joy and a half. Like 146 candidates, and
wow,
that was chaos. There was so much, so many contractors and military and the Mahdi militia, and it was fucking chaos. There was shit going on.
Yeah, like we had said that Herat had been like the Wild West. No, like all of Iraq, like especially Baghdad, was like this weird urban Wild West. Like the whole time, it was like Sadr City was like a place of like never seen a more hot scum villainy, that whole
You're
thing.
just there and going
You know?
up on Haifa Street was always still bad, and then you had the penis, the Karada, which was starting to get bad, and then you go on Biop, and Biop was still bad from 03 or 04, but because Solder City and other places it got worse, Biop was kind of thought of as an afterthought, but people were still getting killed on that. Then you got Route 10, all the way out to the I mean, it was
we were green zone, and so like we were getting like they were like rocketing the embassy, and
you were there when the Namaste that rocket 05 is when our Gurkha guards, and luckily they were all on duty for the most part, but the Gurkhas had their own camp in the green zone, and a rocket. I remember going and seeing that because they were our guys. They were protecting Blackwater guys. Yeah. And a rocket hit theirs and everything just went up. I mean, some of the Gurkhas were melted. Too. Yeah. I mean, again, luckily it was during the day. If it would have been at night, they would have killed the whole force. And I love those guys. Those little Namaste, little Gurkha. But you're right. It just was madness, but it was, I could still look and just smile. I mean, it was madness. It was crazy. If people got lucky or they didn't, it was just, there was no skill involved. It was either lucky or I shouldn't say no skill, but luck had a huge play in
it was luck. There was I would say it's more common sense than skill. Like if you had common sense, then you were probably going to do a little bit better. So there was a certain 3-letter agency that was on like lockdown for like a month and a half because they invested in this like and it was one of the little Toyota sedans, but they had up armored it so much and like tinted the windows so it was like a low rider, and it was like, so you're like, okay, some janky ass like red Toyota sedan that's like, so it looks like it's from like 1988, but it's low riding and has tinted windows. Guys, everyone knows who you are. Everybody knows. And they kept getting shot up, and they were like, why do we keep getting shot up? And that's why we're on lockdown. And I was like, hold on a second. I might be able to help you out with this. Because you can dress up in your like wearing the little dish dashes and grow your beards out, boys, but
you still look like a white dude with a beard, and you look like you're healthy. I mean, if you stop eating vitamin C and you get scurvy and you start to shrink up, then you might blend in.
Especially like the blonde dudes who were like white blonde hair with the huge beard. And I'm like, and they were like, I wear the beard so that they'll have to at least take a second look. And I was like, they're wondering what a friggin' blonde guy is doing. Rolling around.
The hashtag it's second look. I hated hearing that shit from guys. Like, they're going to have to take a second look. And by that time, I'll get under my 8 pairs of man jammies that I have on and get to my, it's like, dude, you're white. You just go with it. I just figure something else out.
Stay in the car. Stay in the car.
It's like if you
have them come up to the window like they're hookers. I don't care.
It doesn't. And get out of the gym. You don't need to be in the gym 8 hours a day so you look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Have you noticed nobody looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger out
you are not going to wrestle them to the ground. You're okay.
It's like start smoking, start eating shitty, stop working out, and there you go. And put some go put some Soul Glow on your face.
Yeah, do something like there's got to be something you get. Anyway. So
anyway, Baghdad, we digress. I'm with you. I'm with you.
Baghdad was lovely. The green zone was. The embassy was still out of the old Republican palace. So they had hung a sheet over the giant self-portrait of Saddam, but the gold toilets are still there. Like it was a fascinating look at the Saddam culture. But and I was working both. So I was working. Election and walk-ins and international security, embassy security types of intel gathering type of thing. And then I also was kind of moonlighting for the embassy or the State Department's hostage working group.
Okay, sure.
Which was basically like some contractors, a State Department guy, and they were like, we don't have an intel asset. And I was like, someone who can like go and get intelligence. And I was like, what? Like,
I'll do it.
yeah. So I would start moonlighting for them. So I basically would like come off the gate from having talked to like somebody about how they're getting, sniped while waiting online to come in and tell us that they're getting sniped while waiting online. And we and then would go over and work with the hostage folks for a while and be like, so this is what's coming out of the interrogation facilities, and this is what's coming out of the people that I'm talking to, and like I'm able to ask them things about like, oh, well, how is Solder City right now? Oh, you're telling me that the 19th Revolutionary Brigade is still kidnapping kind of everyone. Internationals, local nationals, it don't matter. They'll just take you off the street. So cool, like let's run them down. And you're welcome, ISIS. We helped run them out of town so that they could come up and staff you guys. So I expect like a fruit basket or something.
At least a fruit basket, or at least some baklava. Come on, everybody gets baklava. Can we have a little bit?
Yeah,
everybody,
like for real. I mean, like I don't understand. Like Al Qaeda in Iraq and Al Qaeda like Maine had a fight. They didn't like AQI anymore, so AQI. And then when we started running people out of Baghdad, they all went north into Syria and became Daesh, ISIL, ISIS, whatever the hell they call themselves now. And, so like we gave them staffing. Like we were their HR team, essentially. Or really the recruiters. Like, so, I wish to say that it will be a forever war, but yeah,
it's hey, I tell people like, is this ever going to, no. I don't foresee it. It's just not good. Whatever we destroy, they'll change the name to something else, or it'll, it's kind of like officers in the OERs, man. They're going to keep changing their name, or acronyms. They're going to change their name.
Yeah.
It's going to change the acronym to something else. Yeah. It's funny.
They're all going to end up in berets next.
Just no more. The Army already took our black berets. All right, don't take the tan ones. All right, leave the tan ones alone.
Well, I think they got rid of it, and then they got rid of the beret, but I think you can still wear it in certain. I don't have any idea because I always hated that damn thing. Because you have to like sheep it, and you have to wet it, and then you have to shave it, and then you have to put it on like a lamp so it keeps the right shape while it dries.
You got, and if you haven't, you got to cut the cardboard too.
Yeah, you have to cut the cardboard out
because if it doesn't look like,
otherwise it looks like a chef's hat. So
anyway, okay. So you're in Iraq.
So I'm in Iraq.
Going back to Iraq. And the election time too.
Yeah,
that was where they were hitting most of the stuff. I mean, that was the hot places you did want to be. Was at the election, where they were doing the actual.
And we were, and of course, like at the green zone, we had like 4 election sites, like all like at the edges of the green zone. So like that was amazing. And so we do the elections. I'm still working the hostage stuff. And then like we were there and that was like the height of all of the international kidnappings. So so that was super fun. And then actually my main unit found out that I was moonlighting and were not super pleased because the State Department actually requested that I be given that I be assigned as an asset to the State Department. And so my command, my brigade command was like, what is this I was a specialist. I was junior enlisted. I had been in the Army for like less than 2 years. And they were like, what is happening? And also because I'm a girl, who you sleeping with? But whatever. It was water under the bridge.
That was hedonism at that damn. I remember, and it was fucking the stories of the infrared, seeing stuff going up on the roof from the.
Oh, I
saw it was straight up
It was
fucking hedonism.
bananas. It was
in Baghdad.
bananas. However, I
Yes.
was not sleeping with anyone to get a job at the State Department. But
Actually, yeah, why would you, maybe to get out of the State Department?
I know,
you'd say,
right?
but not to get into it.
I know. God, no. Oh. Ugh. One of them was like a SEAL, and I was like, ugh. The ego. Yeah.
I threw up in my mouth a little.
Yeah. 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 No, there were some super fun times there. Oh, bless their hearts. But so they ended up getting mad. I believe and of course at this point, like my need for logic because I'm an engineer, I'm a math person, I'm a logic engineer too. Like I am all about like optimization and efficiency, and the Army is really not. Like just not efficient. And I would look at things and say out loud, wow, this is not the smart way to do this. Who made this decision? And inevitably, that person was standing behind me. So I got in trouble all the time. And and this was kind of one of those times where I opened my big fat mouth, and they were like, hey, you know what? The sergeant major was like, you know, like we really need someone who's like sharp and on the ball to be at brigade headquarters manning the radios at night, like a night radio operator, just in case a team gets hit. And I was like, oh, you want me to be a private? You want me to get demoted? That is the way to get me demoted, by putting me on night radio duty for like the next like 6 months or whatever.
Wow.
And so they were like, okay, no, like you are a good intel collector, having, you know, like just taken down a friggin' the 19th Revolutionary Brigade operating out of Sadr City and stuff. Like they were like, okay, like we won't totally screw you over. We'll send you to another team. So they sent me north to Balad, where I could still be supervised, to under our battalion headquarters, but still operating on a team. And I was attached to the infantry unit that was doing the patrols and the checkpoints and the everything out of there, and that's how I ended up on the road to get blown up and accidented and all of this stuff. So so that summer, the summer of 2005, I had actually gone out. I was helping out one of our other teams, which was trying to figure out why the oil fields kept getting attacked. Like, here's a clue, guys. It's probably the insurgency, but I don't know. We'll go ask around. And so we went to we were out at one of the oil fields, and then as we were coming back to actually get the helicopter back down to Balad, there was slow traffic on that, and there's one main road that really goes Baghdad all the way up through the middle, and then up to like Mosul and that area. So we were on that road, and there was one of those Toyota sedans weaving in and out of traffic. We thought it was suspicious. They had been the guys our convoy. I was in the lead truck in the convoy. They were blowing the whistle, fired the warning shots, like all the, trying to get people to move out of the way, because we were actually behind a truck full of like workers leaving the day. So there was probably like 8 people in the bed of this truck, and then that car weaving in and out, and we couldn't see around anybody. And because the convoys all move, like 40, 50 miles an hour, however much the add-on armor of these, because we were not in the days of the MRAP or even like factory mounted armor. it was like, what can you weld on? And like we were getting like commercial rhino liner and trying to spray it on the floors so that in case you got blown up, maybe it would get caught in something.
Yeah.
And then just bad luck. The car weaves in. It was not a vehicle. It was not a VBID like we thought it was, but car weaves in, truck of workers swerves, and we were just close, and there was no way to stop that our truck with all that armor on it. So we slam into this jingle truck of workers. They hit the sedan. The sedan actually hits a front loader, which had been the cause of the backup, a construction vehicle this poor guy was just trying to take home. I mean, 3 Iraqis ended up killed. I get bounced around the back because at this point I'm probably like 107 pounds because it's hot, hot summer, hot girl summer in Iraq. And then like, so I'm like, and every time I would go out, I'm like, I'm like a $107 and wearing like 70 pounds of gear. So no matter what happens, like I am exactly like the truck. I've got all this add-on crap and I just get momentum and keep going. So I get bounced around in the truck and my boot gets caught on the metal in the back of the passenger seat and just twist my ankle around. And of course, the closest base that we got, I was like, man, my ankle kind of hurts. But you know, there's also dead people around, so we should probably do something about this. And so as we're loading back up, I was like, man, this really hurts. That's weird. And so when we get
Does it hurt, or is it to the point where it's not unusable? That came later.
It was not unusable. Also, my boots were pretty tight. So like, you know, when we get to, it is amazing what you can do with really tight boots. By the way, like just super tight. Because we get to the neck, the closest American outpost, and it was small. They didn't have like imaging. They didn't have a MRI. They didn't even have an x-ray. And so the guy just kind of looks at it, and because my boot had been so damn tight, like nothing was swollen. And he was like, it's already starting to kind of bruise up, but like, you know, it's probably sprained, whatever. Turns out
take some aspirin.
Here you go. Here's some Motrin. Take a knee, drink some water, rub some dirt on it, and we'll see you later. And I went. So you know, like I get on the helicopter, I go back to Balad, and I was like, I don't know. They told me it was sprained. Like, I guess I'm cool, and still going out on missions and still doing.
You got no excruciating pains, nothing at all. It's just hurt. It's just like a throb.
Yeah, it just sucked. And you know, they were like, you know, don't run for like a couple of weeks, and I was like, well, that's fine because like I'm just like. I'm going out on 17-hour missions. I don't really have a lot of time to run. And then, of course, you know, later my unit was like, oh, before we all go home, let's do a PT test. Because that makes so much sense. That is 18th Airborne Corps right there. That is Fort Bragg mentality of like, oh, let's do a PT test while we're still in country. Like, this would be great. Then we don't have to do it when we get home, and it's reasonable. And you know, maybe you won't get rocketed in the middle of it and have to go into a bunker. I was like, we get incoming like several times a day. Like, if we're on this PT test, like, there is a chance that during the 15 minutes that everybody's running a circle around the block, that we might get rocketed. Who knows? What do you do then? Is this in the regulation? I don't know. So we, and that really stunk. And that's when I was like, wait a minute, maybe this is more than a sprain. Okay. So other than that, I'm still just tying my boot really tight and, you know, taking some pills and going out on 17-hour missions. And, you know, I just have the giant Samoans from the 142 Infantry kicking the gates and the doors and stuff like that, because they would leave like size like 19 boot prints on this on these doors, and it was amazing. I love those guys. But the and then so couple with maybe 2 weeks later, so I'm still like limping around, and then 2 weeks later, I had just talked to a guy maybe a week before who had told me, hey, on this road, in the next like week or so, there's gonna be a string of roadside bombs, string of IEDs. All right, cool. Report that up. Here's the approximate locations. The route clearing guys found 2 of them, and so we found the 3rd the hard way. Because, or as I like to say, we actually found it the easy way, because like nobody had to dig it up. It's like when I was talking to one of the British disposal guys who he had lost both of his legs, and he was a he was a part of the bomb disposal unit, and I was like, how good at your job were you? And he was like, actually, I mean, we found it. So,
and by the way, it's like that. I have to point out, between you being like very, joking about losing your leg, and it's so military humor. It really is, which I've realized from being around people like you, Chris, and people like Mike Schlitz. Like, you were not at all embarrassed about this injury. Like, you're proud of what you did. You know?
No, I will. I get like small children who like are staring at my leg, and I will take it off, and I will take off my foot and hand it to them.
That'd be good for Halloween.
Oh, Halloween is baller. I actually just went to Pirate Day at the Ren Fair, but I
saw the pictures on Instagram at Lanner Pants on Instagram.
Do you have a wooden prosthetic like a pirate leg?
I don't.
You should get one. If you don't, you need to get
print one. I'm gonna print one. I was actually going to use my rock climbing foot is actually about a third of the size of a regular foot, so I can just make a casing that goes around that, and it's a peg.
Cool.
Nice.
And I mean, I nicknamed my friggin' leg Peggy. It's a thing. Yeah.
So yeah, getting back to of course.
So the bomb goes off. We find it. Which and it was like a little bit later when I was like, wait a minute, like what was the grid for that? Like, hold on a second. Reference back in my notes. Oh, I told you.
You weren't on the route clearing team. The route clearing team had already cleared.
Route clearing had found 2 out of the 3.
So for some reason, why did your command sit? Besides,
they just said,
"Don't give me." I know the comment. I get, but what was the mission that you had to accomplish to go back out on that road on that specific day, knowing that you had intel that had already been actioned? That, hey man, there is. She was spot on. We found 2 IEDs. And it wasn't a science back then. It's still not a science finding them all. Why on earth did they send you back out on that fucking road? That's ridiculous. Again, we're past ridiculousness. We're into ridiculousness.
Well,
it's just dumb.
We could get into some of the failures of how intel gets passed around.
Okay, was there another person you had to go talk to, or was there some like, we got to go talk to this guy on this fucking day? Who gives a shit if they're supposed to be IEDs and they already found 2? Let's go to put them out on the. I mean, was it that important? They couldn't have waited.
The logic must have been something along the lines of maybe they just never got around to placing the 3rd one, like something like that, because Because and Balad was a huge base, so
Anaconda was monstrous. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the engineers who were on the route clearing may not have told the infantry guys who were running the convoy to go out and do checkpoints, and then they were taking me to go and talk to my dude, and while they were on the checkpoint, they would just like a small team would come and like,
makes it
pull guard
that
or
makes
whatever.
Sense. Okay.
So like, either word didn't get around or something. We get hit by this IED. Luckily, it had been so hastily dropped that no one at the time got seriously hurt enough to medevac anyone. Like my gunner had some shrapnel in his hand, but it had the timing was off. So whoever was the trigger man had not taken physics, and and it was aimed like into the sky, so it was mostly just shrapnel and stuff like that. But the blast wave is what got me, because it was a large IED. It was just lucky and unlucky at the same time, because it was super lucky that we didn't get actually hit by the main projectile, but it was super unlucky that I happened to be sitting at the exact spot that had a gap in the add-on armor, and leaning forward just enough to get the full blast wave, and looking the right direction, that I get it right in the face and then blown backwards and my head slams into something else. And even wearing a helmet is still kind of sucks, because then you just
your brain rattles. No,
Yeah.
it rattles your freaking brain.
Yeah.
I know.
So, and nobody was looking at blast injuries at this point.
No, you're right.
So,
You're right.
unless you actually had like something sticking out of your head, they were like, okay, you're probably cool. Or like they could confirm that, because I was being good and wearing like my dark sunglasses. I was wearing my eye protection.
Yeah.
But and I mean, I was wearing some of those defective earplugs, maybe. Didn't really make a difference, but
3M's awesome. 3M,
yeah.
You guys rock.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I will appreciate the settlement, but the so they I had like fluid coming out of my ears and stuff.
Wow.
But
At that time, after the blast, immediately.
they were just like, maybe it's
maybe
maybe you
went
blew an eardrum.
Maybe you went swimming.
Yeah. Just got some water in the ear and just knock it out. And it's, so nobody's looking for this. And of course I was petrified, because all of a sudden I don't know anybody's name.
Oh, wow.
I'm like reading the names of Samoans off of their friggin' so like, my truck command, like the guy in the passenger seat, his last name was Tukuboyatu, and I'm like trying to read it so that he doesn't know that I can't tell who anybody is. And that worked out well.
Jeez.
So I didn't want to get pulled off the road. I was like, I love my job. I love what I'm doing. I am terrified that I'm going crazy. So I'm just going to fake it. Reading these names, I have no balance. I'm falling over, which is great for my busted ankle.
Yeah. Oh my! All of this compounded.
Oh,
Wow.
It was amazing. So like we had to like go down this like little tiny hill to go and talk to see if somebody in like one of the little remote houses had seen the trigger man or whatever. Because of course I'm sleeping on my rooftop, but which is what everybody was. Always, but it was always three guys, dish dashes, average height, red Toyota. But the AK-47s, I don't know.
They're
Okay.
just sleeping. No, they're sleeping. They're guarding the crop.
Right. They're sleeping on their roof because it's too hot inside.
So let's go sleep in 120 degrees. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Let's go sleep on a tar roof
on the top of Hard Rock and Cooker.
It made total sense. So we went to go wake him up from his nap, and so we had to go down this little hill, and I fall right the hell down this hill on that on my busted ass ankle. So me and like my extra 70 pounds and like 2 weapons and all of this go tumbling down this little hill. My partner really noticed though that something was wrong when we decided to continue the mission. because no one had been, as we thought, seriously hurt. So when the quick reaction force comes and cordons off the area until like EOD can come and do all of those things, they were like, you guys can go and continue doing your checkpoint and meetings and whatever else. And we pull up to the next stopping point, and I was like, oh, are we doing a checkpoint here? And my partner, who had been in the truck behind me at the time, comes up and was like, oh no, this is your dude. Like, you've been talking to him for like 3 months. And I never wrote a damn thing down because I had like a photographic memory, and I was like, oh, what am I going to talk to him about today? That's cool. And he was like, cool, something's wrong. I guess I'll do this one. I didn't know our interpreter's name, and of course we weren't wearing name tags. So, because, we don't want the people that we do arrest knowing who we are. So, so we're talking. So he leads that mission. Like, the rest of the day is a total wash. I have no idea what happened. Went back. I think I yelled at my team sergeant or my team leader, because my team leader was like, you need to write up the incident report for the IED. And I was like, the chow hall closes in like an hour or something, and I'm starving. Yeah. And she was like, no, you need to write this up like right now. An IED went off. Like, you were hit by an IED. You need to write this up. And I was like, and I yelled at her, and I was like, now I'm hungry. And at that point, my partner was like, she's been acting real weird all day.
Weirder than normal.
Yeah, like super weird. Like, you might want to cut her a break on that one. Like, she's been acting real weird all day. So they kind of assumed I was going bananas, and but I still went out. Apparently, I only found this out like years later. I apparently still went on missions like the next day and the day after, because they couldn't get me in to see a doctor for like 2 more days or something. And it was mental health. And you send an interrogator to mental health. Like, we know what to say. Like, what am I going to do? Oh yeah, no, I have no idea who anybody is. I'm starting to lose my vision. I don't know what's going on. No, I'm going to be like, nah, I'm cool. Everything's fine. My unit's driving me bananas, but other than that, like, that's fine. They almost made me a night radio operator. That's the only thing that's stressing me out. So, but yeah, no, I have no idea what really happened in like my life. I mean, kind of since then, but I only have like little flashes.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I mean, the audience just hearing this interview, and then even, if they go back and listen to your interview on the Team House, like, you're an articulate, intelligent person, but people don't know until, like, they read the New York Times piece where you talk about it. This has affected you to this very day. Your memory, everything, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you still having issues?
Oh, yeah.
How
it had
long?
been a brain... I had actually had a hemorrhage. I had a brain hemorrhage, so... they ran and they finally figured out that it was a problem because at this point I'd moved to Germany, and one of the neurologists at Landstuhl in Germany had just said like, hey, these like blast wave injuries are also a problem. And these are the symptoms to look for. And I happened to go in, and I was a year and a half or 2 years late for a post-deployment health reassessment, which they're supposed to do every year. And I would avoid, because every time I went and was like, hey, these are the things that are wrong, they would send me to psych. And if I got a psych diagnosis, I could lose my clearance at the time. So faked that one too. And then but I go in and I tell this physician, the physician's assistant, like, hey, I symptoms like all the way through. And he sent me to this neurologist. He was like, you have everything on the list that she just put out. And like losing my vision, like no memory, I was losing the ability to speak. And so I go and I see the neurologist, and she was like, okay, you need an MRI. And then it came back, and she was like, oh, okay, we're going to send you to Walter Reed. You need to get that vacuumed out of the middle of your dome there.
Wow.
So at that point, and before then, because I jump around all the time because, I have a brain injury, whatever, man. So they had done this whole, they had looked at the ankle, because I was like, yo, this thing still hurts, like months later. Is it still a sprain? They finally did. So they did an MRI on that, and they were like, oh yeah, no, you tore some stuff. Like, you tore some ligaments. There's a tendon tear in there. You've got scar tissue.
If they would have seen this earlier, would it have had to have been amputated all these years later?
No, probably not.
Wow. That's that's got to piss you off to just...
what are you going to do? Like, I that's kind of my mentality. That like, I got enough crap to piss me off now that I don't need to be pissed off about something from 15 years ago. I feel like it probably pisses off my mom more than it pisses me off. Cause they found it and they were basically like, look, we could do some surgery. Like, I had chipped a piece out of the bone. They were like, I don't know where that went. Like the whole thing, they were like, what are you gonna, I guess we could do some repair work, but like, it's mostly like, it's just healed wrong. And they didn't know about the brain injury. So they didn't know about all the nerve damage that was also kicking around. So I was having problems knowing where the foot was. I still had no balance. So, and I was going to go mountain climbing several weeks later. And I was like, hey, can I still climb Kilimanjaro? And they were like, yeah, it's just going to hurt at altitude. So ended up with frostbite because I had no circulation because of the nerve problems.
I can't believe you did it. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
So how many years was this after when all this they're starting to piece it all together? How many years or months had it been since you left country? Or were you still in? Were you still serving, or were you finally?
Oh
out?
no, I was in for both. So both of those I was in. I got the ankle looked at maybe like a couple weeks after we got back because I was like, hey, it's still bothering me. They just made me run a PT test on it, and I barely passed it.
Still passed it though.
Oh man, and like the women, like the old PT test, especially like the women, we get some time to run our 2 miles.
I don't know. I wish I could remember. I pulled it. I don't know.
20 minutes or something. It was not bad. And I just kept waiting for like to hit the next age bracket and get like that extra like 30 seconds. I was like, man, I could almost walk it now. And so I'm like, no, it still bothers me. So that was like a month or whatever later. And they were like, oh, we need to like do some physical therapy and stuff like that. But because of the balance and all of those things, I'm still like, even in the Army and wearing a brace and wearing boots and everything, I would still like step down wrong and tear something at least once a year. Ow. And then the brain injury they figured that out. It had been about 2 years since my post-deployment health reassessment, which you're supposed to do annually on the date you come back. So that was, I got brain surgery about 2.5 years after the blast. But because of the timeline of when I had been reporting symptoms, they were like, oh no, this is what's happening. But they actually didn't make the connection between why I was still having balance problems and all of that and the brain injury.
Did they still think it was your ankle? Is that what they thought it was? Was still okay? Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
So they didn't do. Nobody made that connection until right before I ended up getting surgery. So, which was in 2019. So, it's a
little ways after.
Yeah. I just stepped down wrong in 2019, and like I was on a boat and stepped down, ended up tearing 3 ligaments and 2 tendons just from like trying to go throw a banana peel overboard. And the banana peel also just like, because I fell, like it didn't clear the overboard and like got stuck on one of those, just hanging there. Oh, that was so depressing. And I was like, I'm on vacation. And but at this point, like I have been in pain for so goddamn long that like between the migraines and the leg and all of this stuff, that like even when I went to the VA the next day, because we happened to be in the last 24 hours of our vacation, we land back in New York. I'm like, I'm gonna walk over to the VA, 'cause it's a couple blocks from my apartment, and I walk in and they look at the size of my friggin' ankle, and they were like, how did you get here? And I was like, I walked like 5 blocks. It's like a pain level 3 because everything sucks in like my life and my body. And they were like, yeah, you should not be walking on this. There's like nothing attaching it to your leg at this point.
The way you described it to me, and Chris would appreciate it because Chris is a movie guy. I'll let you tell it.
No, go ahead.
No, you were saying it was like that. I don't even remember the character, but you said it was like the character in Mr. Deeds, who was like the leg that.
Oh yes,
like you can hit it with a hammer.
Saving people in frostbite because there's all frostbitten. Ice in the legs.
Black toe.
No,
don't give me old Blackfoot. Yeah. No, my like every time I go into cold weather, like one of my buddies will be like, he'd be like, you need to take a picture of like the black. They actually called me Black Toe. Yeah, like Blackfoot and Black Toe, because at the frostbite had gotten infected. Oh, my life is like a mess. So, but this, so I had like half of my foot was like pins and needles all the time, and half of my foot was totally numb. So, so that's great for balance too. And then, so finally and the VA, of course, because I mean, it's policy and it's a good policy. Like we're not just going to chop it off right away. We're like, you need to do other surgeries. Like it has to be a last resort. But at this point, it's been like 14 years of just constant, like I had like a collection of those like cam boots, the lovely ones, the stabilizing boots that they put when you break something. It was like my winter wear at that point. And so I was like, forget this, I'm out. And I was like, I'm going to just get a second opinion, from this other doctor. And he was like, yeah, if you do surgery because of all the nerve problems that you're having and all of this other stuff, you're probably going to need surgery like every couple of years because something else is going to tear. You're going to do something again. That's not going to get fixed. So the alternative is you can just chop it off. And I was like, tell me more. Because at that I was just so frustrated with like that perpetual pain level of, to me, a 3, which apparently is higher to others. That's just how it ended up. And I was like, tell me more. And then he was like, oh, and I do this thing called osseointegration. So I can insert a rod into your bone and then we can just like screw on a different attachment at the bottom. And I was like, no, that's cool. Actually the EOD, the British, explosives guy had told me about osseointegration. And so that's where, and he was like, no, if you have to get something cut off, I strongly recommend this because it's, you don't get the phantom pains. You don't get the like sores from having a socket. Yeah. So
were you finding yourself like even just becoming more and more depressed? I mean, from what I'm hearing I'm glad you did it that way because it sounds like you would have just kept getting mentally and emotionally worse, which you cover that up. And all of us, some more than others have been where they cover it up now we're covering up with medication, not the right medication. Sometimes medication you can buy in the street corner and alcohol. And I mean, were you finding yourself going down that route too? It sounds like you were.
I am not. I am one of the very few people who have actually never done drugs, but I like
At all?
even no, I
Wow.
not at all, because I wanted to be an astronaut. So I was a giant nerd. Like, come on. So but the and I didn't drink a lot because the way that it affects my like my TBI, I get like and that's why it was actually funny on the Team House thing, because like I can drink like a lot without getting drunk, and then as soon as I do, I just like go to sleep. so it's not that fun.
Gotcha.
But
I'm like that too, but it's because I'm old as shit.
Yeah. But it does mean I can also like drink Jack Murphy under the table, because like he's like getting drunk, and I was like, I don't know, man, I've had like half a bottle of rum and I don't feel anything yet. So sucks to be you, pal. But I was depressed, and I did not have any outlets. I definitely went through a period where I was not actively suicidal, but like if I was crossing the street and the M15 happened to be coming and I didn't see it, like, oh well.
You were passively
just apathetic.
I get you. I lost three buddies that way, and it's all motorcycles going 180 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And well, if I hit something, I hit something, or if somebody pulls out in front, that's people think that's real. That's just you're killing
like
yourself,
an apathy. It's just this like I don't really care, so like I'll do dumb stuff, or like I'll just take risks that are totally unnecessary.
Yeah.
And and a lot of that was both PTSD and the constant level of pain that I was in. So,
I can't even imagine just being in pain for that many years. No, I'm going to go see after about, you said 14 years. No, 14 hours. I'm sorry. I'm a puss. I'm going to the doctor. 14 hours. Now, fuck
You're
this.
rolling out your PT mat.
Exactly. Rolling out something's wrong with my fucking foot. Fix this now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of this shit.
Yeah. And the thing with this show, I mean, we really do like to highlight inspirational stories. And I think yours is an unlikely inspirational story, because you amputating the leg was actually a positive change in your life. And now you're able to walk around no issue. I mean, when I first met you, honestly, you were wearing long pants. You had the sandal on. I really didn't notice it. I wouldn't have known that you were an amputee. And actually, at first, because of the size of it, I figured it was just the foot, not, a significant portion of the leg. Yeah. And what we're doing now with prosthetics, as you said, with 3D printing, it's really amazing and miraculous. So, I mean, it's incredible to see you. And same thing with the TBI. Although it affects you, speaking with you, I would have no idea. So I think it's a great inspirational story. The one thing I wanted to ask you before we wrap things up, because we're going to have to get out of here like any minute now. Yeah. But really quick, as someone who worked in Afghanistan, who sacrificed there, I would just kind of quickly at least like to hear your take on what's going on now. We've kind of gotten it from everybody who's a combat vet on the show who's been there. And I'd like to hear your take.
So my especially because of when we were there and being a woman in Afghanistan, and we dealt a lot with the women and the kids and stuff like that, and so seeing the change from being there so early, I mean, we were still telling some of the remote tribes that the Taliban was gone, and just seeing how happy they were about that news. And then the visiting like a girls' school and stuff like that. And so knowing that is, as much as the Taliban was like, oh no, we're still going to let women get their education. They're not. Like the Human Rights Watch has already said, like, no, they've stopped girls over the age of like 12 or 13 from going to school, and like that is heartbreaking. What kind of gets me through that though is saying, you know what, like the difference that I was able to make there, and the the difference that even if it was just a small number of people, I know that there's an entire generation of girls that did get educated. And I know that there's an entire generation of young boys who didn't have to go to madrasa. And so they are educated, and they know that the Taliban is wrong, and they will fight for it. I know that the Northern Alliance is reconstituting the whole, like, and the Taliban is even finding that they can't come back in with the same, like, could I have written the script for how they would come back, that they would come back and how they would come back no matter when we left? Yes. I was like, oh, they're going to come in from the south. They're going to come around. They're going to, like, you know, they'll invade, and then they'll come in, and the last thing they'll do is Kabul. And could have written the script, knew even what Afghan National Army units would probably stick around and which ones would have to go home, which is, they didn't abandon their posts. They were assigned to Badghis province, and their family lived in Kabul. They were going to go home to protect their family. So we knew what was going to happen back in 2004. And, you know, the generals and like, nobody was going to listen to that. And, nobody was getting the actual intel of, like, hey, the way that you're setting up the army isn't going to be great for the long term. You know, because it wasn't like West Point or Naval Academy tactics. So we were like, no, this is like on the ground tactics. This is like, don't pull a guy away from his family. There's not even a banking system. They have to leave for a week to go drop off money every month. So we knew it was coming. We knew, like, it was just a matter of time. But there were 20 years that we were affecting change, and that, like, I was talking to women who could get educated for the first time in their life, no matter how old they were, like, and just knowing that we were able to do that my job there had an effect on somebody. That's really what got me through, especially like through August and stuff like that. And knowing how the civ process, the visa process was going, like, there were a lot of failures that have been going on for a very, very long time. And, but it's not necessarily on me, because I did what I needed to do, and ethically and morally and so forth. So, I definitely don't feel like it was a waste, to go through that and to go there because of what we were able to do. And so that's my take on the stand.
That's what. Oh, you're right. So the guys I don't feel the same way. Yeah. Individually, the guys on the green, you did great things. You all did. And again, guys, we always have to do this on Battleline Podcast. Guys is a gender neutral term on Battleline Podcast. So, but
dudes,
guys,
I do that all the time. Dude,
guys did well. And you're right. I got to see the first in Kabul, a little girl walking to school.
Yeah.
In 2006. In her little Catholic schoolgirl uniform.
Yeah.
And it warmed my heart more than anything. So, you're spot on. I know we got to go, but I echo your statements 100%. So,
yeah, I think both of you do a great job as the two people I know who have been there, of, I don't want to say putting a positive spin on it, because it's not a spin. It's the reality of what you guys saw. But I know Chris has seen it, and you've probably seen it, the guys and women who go down the path of, fuck all this, and they want to end their life because of what they see going on, and why were we in there in the first place, and I understand that as well. But I think it is important to kind of have your mentality of, we did affect change, we did something positive, and neither of you guys or any of the people I know who served over there were the politicians. Like when we had Rudy Reyes on. And I know you know Rudy Reyes.
I do.
Your friend is, right?
Yeah. Well, I've definitely seen him in various states of inebriation. If that counts.
But I think, and I played the clip for you, but like when Rudy said, like, we don't make policy. It's not our job.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's anything that you guys should feel ashamed of. The people who made policy, who made really terrible choices, both Republicans and Democrats, they're the ones who should be reevaluating things. And some of them did. Before he died, I don't know if you know, like Congressman Walter Jones. I think he's from North Carolina. He was one of these guys gung-ho about the wars, and he was the guy famous for calling French fries freedom fries.
Yes.
And when he saw guys coming back to his district without limbs, people not coming back at all, he said, maybe we shouldn't have been there at all. And I'm going to do everything I can to treat these guys who come back. And that was his thing until his death. And then when the MARSOC thing, was the MARSOC 7 or MARSOC 6, the guys accused of war crimes that they did not do?
I know you're talking about it was, dude, I thought it was 8 of them.
It may have been. I don't remember the exact number, but either way, Walter Jones really fought for those guys, and until he died. So there were people there who reevaluated, and I think it's the people who may have voted for these wars and can't reevaluate what went on.
Well,
those are the people that should feel.
I mean, I always say, I was like, I had what I call the sham shield for my deployments. So the specialist rank is a little shield, and we are experts at getting out of everything as an E4. So it's the sham shield because we will sham out. But
you're just at enough rank that you're not a private anymore, so you don't have to do the private stuff, but you're not quite at leadership yet. So you're right in the gray area.
Perfect.
Right.
Perfect. It's like being a major. Like nobody really wants you to do anything, but you're like not really in charge of anything.
Yeah,
so there's a couple of perfect ranks, and Warrant Officer 1, Major, and E4 Specialist. I was like, I didn't have any stars on my shoulder. I wasn't making this policy. I wasn't recommending how to set up the Afghan National Army. I was just writing in my report, hey guys, this is going to be real bad because these guys have to literally leave for a week to drop off money at home. Yeah. So like, this is not a good way to set up an army. But it all went in my report. I don't know. And then it went into the ether.
Yeah.
And so, I did what I could to help them make better decisions. And the fact that they didn't make better decisions is not on me.
I fully agree. And I think you've seen the same thing, Chris. And at a certain point, you got to let that go. And you definitely have. And Chris definitely has. So with that, check out, as I said, your piece. I got blown up in Iraq years later. Amputating my leg set me free. That was featured in the New York Times. ElanaDuffy.com, ElanaDuffy.com.
Oh, no, I have to actually put stuff on there then.
I was on it. I mean, it's an active website. But at Elana Duffy on Twitter, at Lannerpants on Instagram. And this was great. I love when I'm able to come in. Obviously, Chris can't be here. It's just not possible. I mean, he's in Kansas. But at some point, it'll be great to have everybody in the studio. But I appreciate coming.
It's just like I'm like being on Wayne's World.
Yeah.
Delaware.
Yeah.
This podcast, we're going to be calling it I Got Dressed Up for This. That's our podcast. That's going to be our podcast.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Next sense.
I would make that the title. I just don't know if people will click on.
Hashtag nice shirt.
I will hashtag that on here. But this was great, and I really think your story is inspirational. You know what? The last thing I'll say too is when I posted the picture on Instagram of you with the new prosthetic, right? And you're looking at it. A lot of the not a lot, but there were some comments that were like, "Oh, I feel so bad for these people," and I can tell you don't feel bad for yourself. You're a positive, motivated person. And I think when people hear this, they'll have a different view of that. Like when I talk to you or I talk to Mike Schlitz, I don't see you as people who walk around all day, woe is me. That's not your attitude.
Yeah. Well, the fact that I can walk around all day is kind of an improvement. So, yeah. Yeah. Oh no, I got jokes. I got puns about it too. So
I got jokes.
I got jokes.
Jokes for days. Jokes for days.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. I appreciate appreciate you having, coming on. Sorry I couldn't be there, but I won't be in New York City for a while until it opens completely, which it probably never will. Is it going to?
Yeah.
I mean, this would be a whole nother discussion, but it's like, if you're vaccinated, it's fully open. If not, apparently I can order a drink at a Starbucks, but I can't sit at the Starbucks. I'm vaccinated. I'm just saying, will all that change? Who the fuck knows? I don't know. But things are definitely back to a lot, and we were talking about this before you came in, a lot more back to normal than when I was contemplating very heavily going to Florida, because it was like, what the hell is going on? I mean, things are going well. So I really appreciate coming in once again.
Yeah. Thanks.
No,
thanks
you for
there,
having
Big
me.
Sarge. You're awesome.
That's all for this episode of the Battleline Podcast, but we'll be back on Monday with more American Straight Talk. Until then, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Battleline Podcast and on Twitter at Battleline Pod. To sign up for future Battleline tactical courses, go to www.christantoperanto.net. Believe in yourself, face all challenges head on, and as always, never quit.